living donor, as they do in this case. Mark Selkirk died after being refused a liver transplant because of his alcohol use. His widow, Deborah, says the rules are too strict.
People aren't turned away because they didn't exercise or because they work too much or they don't get enough sleep or they didn't follow doctor's orders. So in Nathan and Amanda's case, you're seeing someone being told you didn't follow doctor's orders, so we're not going to help you, we're going to let you die.
Liver failure used to be seen mostly in older men who drank over the course of a lifetime, but Associate Professor of Medicine at Queen's University, Jennifer Fleming, warns that the cases of liver disease in younger adults are rising, and particularly in women like Amanda.
So now it means that there are more individuals trying to get access to transplant with no expansion in the number of livers available for these people. We are seeing many more young people dying of alcohol-associated liver disease now than we were a decade ago.
Now, as to comment on Amanda's rejection here, transplant officials wrote that, which were unable to comment on specific cases due to patient privacy. Now, Nathan says, Amanda's partner says he's found a hospital in Europe that's ready to perform a living liver transplant if he can buy her enough time to pay for life. So he's hoping to crowdfund the cost, which could rise to about $300,000. Just wondering your thoughts on that this morning, just the idea of being rejected on these terms. I think there's, a little bit cut and dry in many directions, but I think it's a little troubling that somebody in that position to got a living donor. It's just how we start judging people on their alcohol use. Granted, this is a self-inflicted wound in many senses, but it still doesn't seem like that's the right to refuse people necessary health care to live. This isn't a Botox injection. The liver transplant. But Caroline had an email on this, and your text welcome on this as well. 580-582 to see for Ottawa. It says, Andrew, I'm in shock that they don't do the liver transplant, or that they won't do the liver transplant. Some have to go to the depths of despair before they get the message. But death knocking on your door is sometimes what some need to get the message. I think they have to do the transplant. They're not God. They should be more humane, in all caps. Give her this last chance. They should not be the ones who decide her death. It's the saddest thing to hear. Exactly the thing. It's so incredibly troubling. You can understand from some aspects in terms of how we got here. A good point too, just in terms of I guess some people do need death knocking on your door. Some people don't ever get that chance. They lose it. But the stat there showing that 10% return to drinking shows that the 90% that don't probably got the message at some point. But just the idea, I think that's a good way of putting it. They are kind of playing God a little bit here. With a judgment call on somebody's drinking habits. Your thoughts on that, welcome. Kristen Canada with a little tongue-in-cheek here, but says, liver transplant denied based on alcoholism. That's strange. In the addictions-enabling society we have, would a daily safe injection user be denied from a transplant? I think it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's relevant, right, in some senses. No, I don't even think we have this conversation, right? I think also as well, just Chris using your analogy a little bit, in some senses, alcohol is just so impactful on the liver and other parts of your body, as are drugs, but just it's so impactful on your liver over the course of time that I don't even know if you get to the point of a transplant with some addictions, right? Anyway, your thoughts on that? Very troubling. Texas 580-580. Tweet us at CF Ottawa. We'll get to some of those texts throughout the rest of the hour as well. We'll talk a little education coming up after the 10 o'clock hour as well. The Ottawa Carleton District School Board, the largest school board in Ottawa, looking to make some changes to education. So we'll talk about that coming up. We'll take a break for the news. On the other side, we'll chat with Jeffrey Johnson with the Kingston Week Standard with what he's writing about this week on the international front. Don't go away.
Starts when our heart beats pounding, when the first beat heard above the reckoning, charged to the final accounting. Level flown super farmer's direction, he's been getting reprieve from the heat in a frozen food section. Damn it.
is News Talk 580, CFRA.
Great gardens begin at Knipples, the home of 1,000 trees, 4590 Bank Street.
Fresh fruit from your own backyard, it couldn't be easier no matter the size of your garden. At Knipples, you'll find healthy fruit trees, blueberries, currants, raspberries, strawberries, and more. And Knipples greenhouses are filled with vegetables, herbs, and flowers. Everything to start your 2024 garden. We're open every day of the gardening season.
That's Knipples, 4590 Bank Street, where people and plants come first.
Your update from the CTV Ottawa newsroom starts now.
Good morning, I'm Marianne McCarty. Right now it's sunny and 18 degrees downtown Ottawa. Your full forecast is coming up. First, your top stories. No updates on the boating collision north of Kingston that left multiple people injured last night. OPP takes to social media just after midnight saying police, fire, and paramedic services are on scene of a serious boat collision on the Buck Bay area of Bob's Lake. A search and rescue squadron was also called to the scene. Officials say multiple people are injured. OPP asking the public to avoid the area to make way for emergency responders. No further details are available at this time. Ontario Paramedic Services Week kicks off today. The Ontario Association of Paramedic Chiefs says this year's theme is Help Us Help You, to honor the challenges the province's healthcare system has been facing. OAPS says they also hope to teach people about paramedic services beyond emergency response. Fishery and Border Services seizing more than 100 kilograms of baby eels at Toronto Pearson Airport last week. Fisheries and Oceans Canada says the 39 boxes filled with baby eels, known as elvers, are estimated to be worth $500,000. CTV's Tony Grace spoke with the DFO on what this means for the elver industry.
These would be heading to Asia, where they're grown into adult eels and then harvested for various delicacies.
The federal government's closed the elver fishery for the third time in 5 years over conservation concerns and violence involving poachers, as it works on new rules to manage and trace the harvest.
To develop the regulations, the traceability system, and increase the access for Indigenous communities.
Since March 6th, almost 150 arrests have been made and more than 200 kilograms of elvers seized. Officials say they're making a dent in enforcement. Licensed elver fishermen say there's no time to lose in reopening an industry where 1,100 people in Atlantic Canada are out of work. And they're still finding evidence of poaching. Calls for change as the clock ticks on a lost season. Tony Grace, CTV News, Toronto.
Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. Check out the best local content from CTV News, CTV Morning Live, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. From the CTV Weather Center, mainly sunny today with a high of 27 degrees. Right now we're sitting at 18. A few clouds creeping in tonight, but it will remain clear for the majority of the day. Tomorrow, sunny and 31. Tuesday, temperatures staying in that same range with a high of 29. Out of This World Plumbing, the only way to achieve planetary plumbing perfection is with Out of This World Plumbing. OutofThisWorldPlumbing.com. That's the latest from the CTV Newsroom. I'm Marianne McCarty. News next at 10 o'clock.
The news when you want it.
Your latest local news, weather, and traffic now on the CTV News app.
Or iHeartRadio app. News Talk 580 CFRA.
Live local breaking news, weather, and traffic. Save on summer get-togethers, from weddings to birthdays and barbecues. Make your wine in-store at Musco Wine. Silvano, there's no fuss, no muss.
With our state-of-the-art facilities, you only need 10 minutes for stirring the yeast. Return to Muscat in 30 days to bottle.
Delicious red, white, or rosé wine at a fraction of the cost of commercial wine.
From $58.99, make enough for 28 bottles.
$58.99, enough for 28 bottles. Only at Musco Wine, Somerset West of Preston, and Musca.com.
Hello, this is Sharon McGarry at Hulse Playfair McGarry Funeral, Cremation, and Celebration of Life Services. Decluttering after a loved one passes away is a helpful part of grieving. Often, creating a memory box can start the process of sorting and decluttering in a practical, meaningful way. Visit our website, hpmcgarry.ca, for insights on this and a broad range of related topics, and consider subscribing to our free newsletters. That's hpmcgarry.ca. If Health Playfair in McGarry can assist you, we'd be honored.
When severe weather strikes, our storm team jumps into action.
We have some active weather on the way this morning. Up to the minute weather conditions.
We are anticipating some showers.
On air and always streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
News Talk 580 CFRA. Live local breaking news, weather, and traffic.
Dare to lawn care with Nutrilon Ottawa. Bill Carroll here. Need great lawn care tips? Trust Tom Horn and his experts at Nutrilon.
Bill, did you know the edge of your driveway needs extra attention? The sun's reflection dries this area out faster than the rest of your lawn. Apply fresh seed and soil yearly and water liberally.
You'll have the best lawn on the block with expert advice and care from Nutrilon. Visit NutrilonOttawa.com. Your first application is just $20.
Whoa, this weather.
Summer's just around the corner.
Oh, that reminds me. I should get my air conditioner checked before the heat hits.
Hey, smart move. You heard of the Save on Energy Cool Saver program? It helps cover your costs with instant discounts on AC tune-ups, high-efficiency pool pumps, and more.
Really? There's no catch?
It's a breeze. Check whether your postal code qualifies and complete a few short steps online. Just a few minutes for peace of mind and lasting savings.
Visit saveonenergy.ca/coolsaver to get started. Terms and conditions apply. Can you blow my mind?
On the go? Take News Talk 580 CFRA Ottawa with you. Download, listen, and learn through the iHeartRadio app. Now back to CFRA Live with Andrew Vincent.
And welcome back to CFRA Live. Happy Sunday here. A beautiful Sunday morning in the Byward Market on this Victoria Day long weekend. Thanks for spending some of it with us. I got a lot of texts on that last story I was talking about there. I'll get to some of those coming up before the top of the hour there. A very interesting story about a living liver donor being available, but somebody being rejected because of alcohol use. So a very thorny story there as well. Right now, time to check in with Jeffrey Johnson. He is the International Affairs columnist with the Kingston Week Standard. We are heading around the globe checking what he is writing about this week. Jeffrey, thanks so much for joining us. Happy Sunday to you.
Good morning, Andrew. Happy Sunday. Happy Victoria Day weekend, everybody.
I hope everybody getting out and enjoying this beautiful sunshine that we've been enamored with this weekend. Seeing more reports this morning of continued battle in Gaza, Israel, with the latest attack this morning, an airstrike, which is kind of the latest in this ongoing war. Obviously, Jeffrey, and the title of your column this week, kind of looking at the humanitarian situation, putting it quite starkly, as Gaza's children are in great need.
Yes, it is. And the situation, humanitarian situation in Gaza is desperate. Now, everything to do with Gaza is controversial, and it's really difficult to have a rational, fact-based discussion about it, but it is necessary. And so the purpose of the column was not to get into the politics of it one way or another. I just wanted to highlight the humanitarian facts on the ground, and even the facts have become into dispute. So recently, for example, there was a dispute over death statistics. So the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs puts out thrice weekly reports on various humanitarian statistics, and one of the stats they put out is death statistics, and so they talk about the number of civilians killed, and they break that down into various groups, such as the number of women killed, the number of children killed. And on May 6th, they released the overall death toll, which was approximately 34,000. And they also broke down that toll along gender lines and age. And so they said about approximately 9,500 women were killed, and approximately 14,500 children were killed. Well, 2 days later, without explanation, they slashed the number of women and children killed almost in half. And you really had to dig through the data to realize that the May 6 numbers had been drawn from the Hamas-controlled Gaza Ministry of Health, and then the May 8th numbers, actually no source was really given. So obviously there was a lot of controversy over that. But the point I really make in the piece is, regardless of what the final numbers are, the actual humanitarian crisis is getting worse, and this was predicted long ago. So on May 3rd, Cindy McCain, who is the executive director of the World Food Program, said that an effective state of famine was already in effect in northern Gaza, and it was moving south. Back in March, the Integrated Food Security Classification, which is known as the IPC, it's a multi-stakeholder platform that draws information from the World Food Program, other United Nations agencies, and non-governmental humanitarian organizations. They have all these metrics, and they pull them all together, and they pull all the statistics together. And the IPC Famine Review Committee looks at everything and makes a determination about food insecurity and if a country is going to tumble into famine. And back in March, that the IPC Famine Review Committee said that northern Gaza was about to fall into famine, and this would occur any time between March and May of this year. Well, it looks now that northern Gaza is in famine, and that there is terrible food insecurity in the south, and these problems always affect children, the worst. So it is a bad situation, and it is getting worse.
The World Food Program, as you mentioned, and Cindy McCain kind of making this declaration a while ago, so it does seem like in many cases this has been expected, at least for some time now. I guess, where do we go from here in terms of trying to address it?
Yeah, so that's a good point. So it's important to note that back in March, it was really clear what the end game to this war will be. The end game is eventually the Israeli Defense Forces taking and holding Rafah, which is the big population center, highly densely populated population center where many of the internally displaced people in Gaza have fled. And the IPC Famine Review Committee warned that if there is a big battle in Rafah, 1.1 million people in Gaza will be facing very serious food insecurity. We already know that a lot of children have been affected. Now, the good news is UNICEF put out a report on May 1st, and the report said the actual percentage of children suffering severe